What's up?
What's going on, Facebook people? It's a live show on a Monday. Is this crazy, Andy?
A little bit. We got to make up though.
Yeah, we've got all kinds of technological problems. Our stand that we use to hold up our camera is not cooperating, mostly because, again, Facebook changed the format for live video.
Yeah, it was nice to have it, landscape, but doesn't appear we can do that anymore.
Facebook giveth, and then Facebook taketh away.
Mm-hmm.
Have you done any research into why that happened?
I haven't.
Nor have I. Maybe I should. I don't know. So what are we talking about this week, as in every week in the month of October, Mr. Andy?
Bullying behavior.
Bullying behavior. Now, I speak at length about the concept of bullying in my book. Mm-hmm. That will be released in 2 weeks. And you and I both like to use the terms bullying behavior. Why so?
Well, because you don't want to label someone as a bully, because then they'll fill that label.
Yes. However, in the book, I had to refrain from using that turn of phrase and instead use this just a term by itself, bully, and refer to people in the book as bullies. The reason being is because through the editing process, saying bullying behavior and trying to fit that into sentences with proper grammar in a written way and not have it be repetitive was very difficult.
Yeah, not the easiest thing.
No, it was not. So anyway, that's the deal. So this week, a new news story. I guess that's self-evident. It's a news story that's been coming through my desk, if you will, is this concept of putting parents in jail if their child is a bully. Have you heard of this?
I've heard of fining parents, but never putting them in jail. That's new to me.
Yeah, so apparently in Wisconsin, if your child bullies another, it's a fine of $681.
Payable to who?
Well, I guess it's payable to the state if it's a fine.
Okay.
So the state, a child, I guess, suffers a bullying incident. So the parents of the bully have to pay the state $681, I guess.
Yeah. And where is the line drawn? Is it like one-time deal? Like, oh, he said something to that kid, that's $700.
Yeah.
Or is it like you have to continually do it?
Yeah, that wasn't clear to me in the research that I've done. Maybe as a law, it's very clear. However, I don't know if that would be the case. I don't know.
That sounds...
But I thought the same thing, honestly. It's like, well, what's the line, and is it every incident? And in all reality, one of the challenges with bullying behavior is, like beauty, the eye is in the beholder.
Yeah.
Right? So if I was to say to you, Andy, pass me that piece of paper, and you handed it to me, I could have, in my mind, perceived it as polite.
Okay.
You may perceive it as you're reaching for that piece of paper because you fear that I will punch you in the face repeatedly if you don't give it to me.
Okay.
Right? So you'll see it as a bullying event, and I will not.
Yeah.
However, I think there are some things that are obviously clear bullying events, and we talk about those all the time. But I think that's one of the challenges when we start trying to impose legal ramifications on behavior that still is subjective to some degree.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because, how do you define it? Who decides whether it was or wasn't bullying?
Yes.
Yeah,
so because if it was in the case of an assault, well, if one child walks up and punches another child, well, that's a clear-cut case of assault.
Yeah.
But does that also fall into the category of bullying, too? Was it assault with bullying, or how does that work?
Depending on the age of the child, it might not even have been a negative thing. Some kids at certain ages, that's one of the ways in which they try to communicate how they feel.
Yeah.
They're excited or whatever. Even if they like you, they'll hit you just because they have that energy, I guess, and they're looking for a way to get it out.
Yes. So that's a great thing. And I see on our live show, if you're an audio-only type of person, you should know that we interact with our Facebook audience from time to time who's listening to this live. My man, Tim Harrell, martial artist, a man who knows a bit about bullying himself, giving us some props. Appreciate you like it, Tim. Glad to have you on the show. Glad you're listening. So yeah, Wisconsin, putting fines on people. Now, what's happening in New York, the law was just passed in Towanda, New York. Do you know this place?
No.
No. Well, you being from New York, I figured you knew every part of New York.
I'm from, literally, the northwestern corner of New York.
I don't know if Towanda's there or not.
I have no idea. I've never heard of it.
Yeah, I'm not a New York
It's a big
scientist.
state.
So anyway, in this state, in this town, they just passed a law where if a child parents could go to jail for up to 15 days if their child bullies another child. Do you know the difference between jail and prison?
Jail is usually for people that are awaiting trial, or if they've been convicted, but it's a short stay, and they stay at jail. Prison's like you've been convicted of something pretty serious, and you have to take an extended hiatus.
Usually a year or more.
Yeah.
For prison, yes. Oddly enough, I used to be a major of criminal justice in college before I changed to psychology. And the LA County jail is so bad that guys would like plead guilty immediately to avoid LA County jail and go right to prison.
Really?
Supposedly. I don't know if that's true or not. So if you're in LA, don't commit a misdemeanor.
Or, just don't get arrested in general.
Yeah, don't get arrested.
You know?
So anyway, in Tawana, New York, 15 days, fine. Now, how do you feel about this overall? 15 days in jail, rather.
I mean, I can see what they're trying to do. They're trying to get to the root of it. But to me, it's going to do a few things. One, it could cost the parent whatever job they have. Two, if it's an only parent, who cares for the child, right?
Yes.
And three, it'll create a lot of animosity between the child and the parent, potentially making whatever issues there may be at home worse. So it seems kind of like a heavy-handed approach, in my opinion.
Yes, I think based on the little bit of information I have about it, I have some of the same thoughts about it. The fact that I didn't think about your repercussions that you brought up. I was just thinking that, one, even though I think parents are culpable in a lot of different ways for the behavior of their kids, you get into a very gray area when you start punishing one person for the actions of another.
Yeah.
Right? And in this case, you're putting a parent in jail for the actions of the child. You're punishing the parent for the actions of the child. I do feel that parents, when you become a parent, you have a huge responsibility. And unfortunately, not many, or I can't say not many, there are those out there that don't take this responsibility serious at all. They become parents and they don't do any kind of research on how to be a better parent. They don't do any kind of training on how to be a better parent. I mean, to be able to drive a car, we go through 3 months at least of training in a classroom setting, and then, a year or so of driving under the supervision of somebody else who's experienced.
Yeah.
But, people become parents all the time with absolutely no training or education about it at all. Right? So, again, punishing parents for the bullying, that seems to, I don't know if it doesn't seem like it's going to really solve any problems. Because as you said, what if it is a parent loses their job now? If a child is engaging in bullying behavior, a lot of times it's because they don't feel good about themselves. And they're utilizing other people for that purpose.
Yeah.
So then you take a home situation where a parent loses their job, potentially, based on the actions of the child. There's a very good possibility that the parent's not going to be treating the child very well at that point.
Yeah.
Thus, making the child feel worse about themselves.
Yeah.
So is it going to really solve the behavior or not? Right?
I don't think so. And part of it, too, is... part of it, too, in my opinion, is just the fact that even if... Let's say the parent goes to jail and they lose their job, right? Even if they come back and they don't have negative feelings towards the child somehow, the odds of them being able to get another job are going to be a lot lower too, because a lot of places won't take somebody that has jail time on the record, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, it's hard to explain. I just don't get it.
Yeah,
it doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
No, it doesn't. So, I guess the conventional wisdom, though, is that when a child is engaging in bullying behavior, you need to get the parents involved.
Yeah.
And this seems to be just an extreme example of it, because apparently what happened was one mother had witnessed her child being bullied. Another kid walked up and punched her child in the face.
Okay.
So mom goes to social media, and I believe she created a page on Facebook about what's going on and having people chiming in, and that was the impetus behind this whole, or the catalyst to this thing becoming a law. Because then she proposed a law and people supported it. Now now they're trying to throw people in jail into the who scale, if you will, for bullying events. And again, what is the Mendoza line, or what is the criteria for a bullying event that is so bad that you're going to put the parent in jail?
Yeah.
Is teasing somebody going to be a jail-worthy offense, or is it out-and-out assault? Who knows?
Yeah, and also there is situations where the parent's doing everything they can to try to stop it, right? And they're trying to help with their child. Maybe it's some issue that isn't from home, and then you go and put the parent in jail.
Yes.
You know, that is a possibility as well. You know, they're already trying to do what they can to stop this. They don't condone it at all, and then they get thrown in jail, you know.
And
what if the person who's actually bullying the other person, what if they say that they're, for lack of a better term, their victim, even though we don't like to use that word, is doing the bullying, and then the victim gets in trouble? You know? How do you prove or disprove any of it?
It just seems to be an elaborate, bureaucratic, red tape approach to a problem. There's this concept of problem solving called the one thing, basically.
Okay.
And if you have a lot of problems, if you figure out the one thing to fix that solves all the other problems, then you don't have to, instead of fixing 15 problems, you fix the one thing that takes care of the rest.
Okay.
Right? So, if I'm driving and my car's got, massive amounts of problems overall, it doesn't start very well, it doesn't drive very well, it doesn't,
AC
smoke's,
doesn't work.
yeah, smoke's
whatever.
coming out of the back every time I drive, right? I could go and fix, well, the ride's really rough. Let me check the tires. And then the exhaust is really smoky. Let me check that. In all reality, the one thing could be just changing the oil and fix all of it, right? So, putting people in jail is all an elaborate way to get around the fact that there's this, again, the zero tolerance policy where, God forbid, kids get in a fight in school and it becomes this big thing. Maybe if you let the person who's being bullied defend themselves, maybe you won't have to throw parents in jail. I'm just saying. Yeah. I'm not advocating, having knockdown dragouts in school and kids having fight club all the time. I'm not.
No.
However, it seems like we've taken away the natural order of things to try to sanitize everything, and now we're attempting to throw people in jail over something that can't be proven.
Yeah.
So.
And that's up to someone else's judgment of whether or not it was that.
Yes. So it's just a crazy topic. It's a crazy thing. Next week we are going to talk about, or later on this week actually, because we're in 2 this week, Friday. We're going to discuss some of the other concepts when it comes to bullying, how we're going to get parents involved. Me personally, I feel, it just got passed last week, but I feel that throwing adults in jail or threatening to throw adults in jail for the actions of kids is a slippery slope, number one.
Pretty extreme.
Right? And again, we're talking about, we don't know how extreme these incidents are going to be. Does it involve acts of violence, or is it just mean words, or is it creating social media profiles about another kid? What constitutes this type of bullying that has to occur where you put a parent in jail for it?
Yeah.
And make no mistake, Scott, obviously I'm not condoning and saying that people who engage in bullying behavior or the parents aren't culpable. It's just one of these things where I feel that we have to approach things the proper way. Otherwise, we get into a gray area, and we're going to create more problems trying to solve the simple thing of let people defend themselves and stand up for themselves.
Yeah.
Just my thought.
Yep.
Boom.
But
Until Friday, we'll see you guys. Hope you enjoyed this one. It was a quick one, but it had impact, I hope. You guys have a great day. We'll see you later on this week.
see you guys.